This is what our people have called forever Unsalapsh. And Unsalapsh, if you do a little translation of it, is my wealth water. This basin just provides everything that you could possibly need to build a strong society.
The salmon, they're part of this valley, they're part of who we are.
The Chehalis River historically has been one of the most significant producers of salmon in Washington state.
There is a population that's in really tough straits, and that's the spring Chinook run. We could be facing a situation where it's going extinct.
Over the last several decades, the problems have accelerated here in our basin. The last 30 years have seen 5 of the most significant floods on record in the Chehalis Basin.
And I know now they're looking at water retention, which is supposed to help, and that's very controversial.
We're actually taking dams out these days. The idea that we're proposing to build one, at a time when we're spending an awful lot of money on salmon recovery.
It's really backyard America facing the impacts of climate change. We know that flood is going to get worse. We know that it's going to get hotter. And we know that the fisheries are going away.
One wrong decision can have such broad impacts to not only everyone in this generation, but everyone for generations ahead.
What happens in this corridor is driving a lot of what the future might be for the Chehalis. The I-5 corridor doesn't really give you a fair representation of what is out in the Chehalis Basin, yet the vast majority of people, that's what they're seeing as they drive through. You see a pretty simplified, entrenched channel, and it tarnished my view of what an incredible place the Chehalis was in the past and still is. It's the largest watershed that's entirely within the state of Washington that also flows all the way to the sea.
One of the unusual characteristics of the Chehalis River is that it was the drainage outlet for this massive wall of ice that existed during the last ice age. Once the ice melted back, the valley was actually oversized relative to the river that was flowing through it. And this is a recipe for creating terrain in the valley bottom that is actually flood prone.
It's a large basin with a diverse range of ecosystems.
So the Chehalis River has large numbers of salmon and steelhead compared to other coastal rivers. Part of it is due to its size, and some of it is due to its characteristics.
Salmon's a keystone species. You can judge the health of an entire ecosystem by how well it is that the salmon are thriving.
Chehalis salmon are critically important to orca, the southern resident killer whales that come and feed off the Washington coast.
The salmon evolved right along with the landscape that we know today. And it should not be a big mystery as to why they're so exquisitely adapted to this dynamic and somewhat dangerous environment of the Northwest.
When you go out and you see our rivers and you see our streams in the Northwest, you're going to see them, and some of them are going to look really great and really pristine, but what you need to realize is they're dramatically different than they were 200 years ago.